Murder at the Applegate by R.P. Fitton, as read by the author. Copyright 2016 by the Robert P. Fitton Revocable Trust. Murder at the Applegate by R.P. Fitton. Prologue. Buying a new house should not put your life at risk. Leo took another forkful of pasta with Joanne's special tomato sauce. He stood abruptly at the kitchen table when she called from the hallway phone. He wiped his mouth and set down his napkin. The kids talked more than they ate pasta, but that was okay. "Is it Bobby Bonner?" he asked. Joanne shook her head. "It's Matthias, returning your call from Indiana." She handed the phone to him and walked along the stairs back to the kitchen. "Matthias, thank you for calling back."
"How's the new grass at Larson Stadium, Leo?"
"Well, they laid down the last truckload of sod this morning, just a few minor problems."
"What problems?"
"We got Arnie out of the sod truck," said Leo.
"What was Arnie doing in the sod truck?"
Leo wanted to finish his pasta. "Well, when he released the emergency brake, that truck backed into the bleachers.
Maybe I'll just stay in Indiana."
The bleacher repair crew is coming tomorrow morning, and the sod company's bringing more sod tomorrow. Bud Benson in the highway department cleaned up Hamilton Street. He said he's sending you the bill."
No, you tell him to send the bill to Dewar's Lumber, and call George if Arnie is anywhere near that field.
"Will do, Coach."
Do you have enough line paint for the fall?
"Sure, Muddy Jacobs ordered it yesterday."
Muddy Jacobs, he's not in charge of line painting.
"Well, Bud has some line painting Shore Road."
Add Muddy to the list with Arnie and probably Bucky, persona non grata. Now listen, Earl's Sports Den in Prince William. Have Earl verify if everything on my list is in for the team equipment.
"Will do, Coach. I already have Frannie getting the list over to Earl when she's in Prince William tomorrow."
Thanks, Leo. I don't know what I'd do without you. How's the new house coming?
Oh, complications.
Never fails. I'll be flying into Municipal Field in Prince William probably at the end of the week.
You need a ride?
No, I have somebody picking me up, thanks.
Okay, Coach, I'll see you then. One more question, Coach.
Sure.
I don't know LG very well, but I'm going to need some better legal advice than I'm getting now. "Well, I can give him a call. Who's your lawyer now?" "Well, I was using the builder, Bobby Bonner's lawyer. He's from Florida."
Leo, is everything all right?
"I feel like I'm getting screwed."
Well, I'll call LG tonight.
"Thanks, Coach. I'll see you on Friday." Leo banked his Silverado past the horse stables in Fletcher Hill to the west. Just past the rolling greens off the Hamilton golf course, his father's apple orchards had been scraped away, and phase 1 of 5 phases already had 15 houses framed, and others were in various stages of construction. Maybe he should have left the orchards alone. He wondered why one of Bobby Bonner's subs, Dennis Cruchek, had asked him to look at problems with his windows on his brand new 2-story gambrel. The smooth, fresh asphalt, once a dirt road to the orchards, curved at the entrance. A huge brick-frame wood sign with gold letters had been aligned to face Route 7 by Scott Gleason, the job super, and his crew. Leo remembered picking apples every fall with his mother, father, and sister. The apples were loaded in new crates and brought to Boston in the family's large, slatted truck. Selling the 6 acres would allow him to retire from the farm and distribute the rest of his cash to his sister in North Carolina. Now he wished he had never sold the land. He pulled up the slight grade on his new driveway. They'd started painting the white trim. The clapboards were red. He jotted down the note about the sports den and to talk to Frannie and Earl tomorrow morning. His second note involved the present meeting with Cruchek and the windows. Earl, sports den, Frannie's list. Cruchek, defective windows. He tucked the little notebook in his shirt pocket. Then he kicked open the Silverado's door and stepped into the driveway. From the truck, the gambrel's white-framed thermal windows looked just fine. The August sun formed a glowing gold ball in the trees atop the distant Devonshire hills toward Prince William. They had not laid down his lawn yet, and he crossed the dirt to the family room's huge bay window. The window was snug in place, no moisture between the panes. The bedroom windows looked fine, too. He took out his phone and called Scott Gleason's private phone number. Gleason's voicemail played as Leo unlocked the house and stepped into the cooler, dark air.
This is Scott Gleason. Be advised I'm not here, but for your convenience I have left this message.
This is Leo Crowley. I want to know why Cruchek dragged me away from the dinner table because of window problems at my house. Through the bay window, he looked at his truck in the driveway. For the record, there's nothing wrong with my windows. And when do I meet with this lawyer? Call me tomorrow morning. He slipped the cell into his pants pocket. Then he walked into the expansive family room. He smiled broadly, knowing how much his family would love living at the Applegate. Through the kitchen window, the extensive backyard, where he would place the swing set and construct the pool, ran along to apple trees in the rear. He ran his work boot along the counter kickboard. Joanne would be in her glory with this humongous kitchen complete with a central island. The noise out front sounded like a front door closing. I'm in here, Cruchek. I don't see anything wrong with my windows. Sometimes you guys look for trouble when there isn't any. He flipped the reflective chrome spigot above the double ceramic sinks. Need to ask Gleason when our move-in date is. Someone's boots tapped against the plywood as they walked in from the family room. Leo opened the cherrywood cabinet next to the sink. A weakness encompassed his back and his legs collapsed. The noise was loud and hurt his ears. His chin hit the granite counter. Everything was dark and the back of his skull hit the plywood. His skin grew cold and he couldn't move. Where were Joanne and the kids? Murder at the Applegate by R.P. Fitton, Chapter 1. Aunt May's dark eyes expanded like a tree frog, trying to scare its prey. She held the yellow kitchen phone and said the word clearly. Murder. Jones stopped midway across the spacious country kitchen. Everyone he knew in Hamilton flashed into his thoughts. Who? The chief didn't say. He just said tell Matthias there's been a murder. Jones crossed the worn linoleum squares. He had been back in Indiana for less than 24 hours. The purpose of the trip was to get his Aunt May to move to Hamilton. He took the phone. What happened, George?
Are you sitting down?
No, I'm not. Who was murdered?
I'm sorry, Matthias. I know how close he was to all your teams.
Oh, no, not Woozy.
No, Woozy is okay.
George?
Workmen were out at the Applegate Development north of town. Apparently Arnie Dewar spotted a work boot in the cement. Arnie was on the Manchester television station.
If it's not too much to ask, George, who's dead?
Leo Crowley.
Jones fell back into one of Aunt May's kitchen chairs. He gripped the chrome frame as he shook his head. Then he stood quickly and his face became flushed. His throat tightened and he lowered his head. I just talked to him yesterday, George. He was in a great mood. This is insane. Who'd want to kill Leo? He was the most cooperative and nicest person I ever met.
Well, nobody has that answer.
He had no enemies. Aunt May set a fresh cup of coffee on the table and put her hand on Jones's shoulder.
Joanne Crowley is a wreck. The kids are with her sister in Newtown.
Jones sipped the coffee. George, I was leaving Friday, but I'll be back early.
Father Gallagher is on his way over to Hamilton right now. If you could somehow come back here.
I will. I'll call the airlines now. Aunt May took her a pecan pie out of the large cast iron stove.
Well, they haven't totally dislodged the body from the concrete. If Arnie hadn't been throwing trash in the trench, he never would have seen the boot. Apparently the mess he left was extensive and involved another truck on the development.
Well, I'm sure we'll never hear the end of it. George, what's your gut feeling on this? I don't have a clue. He was going to contact LG because of some legal problem over there.
That's good info, thank you.
Something was wrong. I could hear it in his voice. Jones pounded the door frame. I want answers, George.
I'll let Joanne know you're coming back.
And express my condolences.
I will.
Who's the concrete company?
PW Concrete, Prince William. They sent concrete down the chutes into the basement Friday morning.
The subs might have seen something.
Well, there are a lot of subs, Matthias.
I'll see you when I get back, George. Aunt May wiped her forehead. Leo was the one who helped you with your equipment. Yeah, and everything else. You just asked, and he took care of it. It wasn't like he was getting paid." Jones's fists were still clenched. "A good man has just been killed, and I'm going to find out why. My good friend is dead." Jones gripped the coffee mug and stared at the picture of his dad near the kitchen door. He walked up to the 8x10 framed color photograph. His dad, hair just beginning to gray, held up a photo of a road outside of Wabash Falls that led to a small metal bridge. Below was a card marked Bill's Side Road. "Look at that worn jacket from the good guys softball team. He wore that up until the day he died. Okay, Dad, innocent guy with enemies is placed in concrete, gangland style. Why?" Aunt May spoke in a soft voice. "You just answered your own questions, Matthias. Gangland." Jones turned to her. "Doesn't mean it was gangland." Aunt May walked up to her brother's picture. "Okay, Bill, what do you make of it?" Jones smiled. "He used to run his investigations by you, didn't he?" "Oh, I can't say I was right all the time, but it did him good to talk it through. You should come back to New Hampshire with me, Aunt May." "Oh, let's not start that again." Aunt May slipped her arm around him. "Sorry about Leo. I really like Leo, damn it." "I know what Bill would be doing right now," said Aunt May. "He'd say, 'Enough sentimentality. We've got a murder here.'" "Yep, he'd be on the computer finding out about the Applegate Development." "Be my guest," she said, making a sweeping gesture into the living room. The TV played the news channel as he walked over to her small desk with the computer that he had sent last Christmas. "I'm glad you actually use this, Aunt May. Seeing your games on an MP4 on full screen is great, although I think you get too emotional on the sidelines." Jones pushed the switch. "Where did you learn about MP4s? I have my ways." That was one of Dad's expressions. "No, it was your grandfather, also a cop. Chief of Wabash Falls, Matthias." The phone rang. She picked up the portable off the cradle. Yes, hello, Father." Jones looked over his shoulder. "Oh, no, it's sunny and beautiful here. No, he's right here." She handed the phone to Jones as he finished typing in the computer passwords. "Jim."
Matthias, this is terrible.
"I know all about it."
You need to return to Hamilton. Dr. Bradgate just gave Joanne Crowley a sedative.
"I told George I'm coming back."
Oh,
"Jim, what's the name of that development?"
Applegate.
"Where have I been? I never heard of it."
You've been busy with your teams.
Jones balanced the phone between his shoulder and his neck as he typed. Applegate Development, Hamilton, New Hampshire. A colorful website with an actual photo of the main road and houses under construction filled the background. The Bonner Companies, Robert Bonner, President, Bill Harwood. I never heard of these guys either. Prince William Credit Union. I have my mortgage with them.
Well, I know you'll be all over this, but I would suggest that your initial call when you get home should be to Joanne Crowley. She needs all the support she can get.
Yes, Father.
You should have ample time, it being summer vacation.
Yes, Father. Jones read the company history. Says the company has done most of the work in Prince William.
Call me when you get back, Matthias. The whole funeral is up in the air because of this concrete issue in the medical examiner's office.
Jones traced the map north of town. If I'm not mistaken, Leo's orchards were in that area.
Are you listening to me, Matthias?
Yes, Jim, I'll call you when I get back.
Well, okay.
Jones pushed the end button and handed the phone to Aunt May. He scanned the various model homes and street plans. Here's the sales number. Jones punched in the New Hampshire number. That's a Hamilton Exchange. The mellow voice of a man sounded on the voicemail.
You've reached the combined sales department of the Applegate. We're extremely sorry we cannot answer your request. Leave your name and number and we'll be sure to return your call.
Jones hung up. I'm not leaving my name and number for some killer to hear. Jones was about to call Bonner Development's main number in Prince William when Aunt May shouted from the other side of the room. "Don't look now, Matthias, but I think the story has made the hourly news channel." Jones spun around in the chair as the network flyover of Hamilton and the Applegate Development appeared on Aunt May's wide screen. "Oh, this is bizarre." "Well, the murder is bizarre," said Aunt May. Jones joined her in front of the screen.
Tiny college town of Hamilton, New Hampshire is in shock today with the death of one of its most beloved citizens. It wasn't just the tragedy of 43-year-old Leo Crowley being murdered. It was how he was murdered, below a house foundation of the Applegate Development.
Gray-bearded Clayton Morris stood in front of a concrete foundation pylon. His name appeared in yellow letters on the bottom of the screen with the title Medical Examiner.
Dr. Morris, how long has the body been in the concrete? Well, I can only say that we'll have a full summary once the official investigation gives us clearance. Was Crowley dead before he was placed in the concrete? Sorry, I can't comment, but I will say I've never seen such a murder in all my 41 years as a forensic pathologist.
Jones turned to Aunt May. I can understand Clayton not saying anything right now. Who is that? Asked Aunt May. Jones's face slowly tightened as Arnie Dewar stood in a blue-striped Dewar's lumber shirt. He wore a white baseball cap with the lumberyard logo Dewar's written on a saw. Arnold Dewar's? Asked Jones, laughing. I've never heard Arnie called Arnold.
Yeah, I was out here early dropping off some stock from my lumberyard, Dewar's Lumber, Hamilton, New Hampshire,
said Arnie, raising his voice and pointing to the company name on his shirt.
What exactly did you see, Mr. Dewar's? Well, I was doing some trash pickup.
Oh, what a liar! George told me he was illegally dumping trash and garbage on the project so he wouldn't have to pay the landfill fees.
And I see this work boot sticking out of the concrete. When did you realize there was an actual body in the concrete? Oh, I could tell by the contours. How so? I have an eagle eye.
He didn't know. Jones thought he heard Bucky Driscoll somewhere near the camera. The video quickly switched to the entrance of the development. I know I heard Bucky Driscoll in the background. You mean that goof who keeps dialing and says he has the wrong number? Bucky's been dialing your number? He said he was in security and a few other things I prefer not to say. What did he say, Aunt May? He said I was a, quote, goddamn liar and he'd get a legal injunction. You never told me that. I'll kill that little rodent. Jones's face was flushed when he turned back to the TV. The reporter walked along the front of the Applegate entrance.
This is an ongoing story, Peg, and we'll keep you up to date. Ben Jarvis, Hourly News Channel.
Poor Leo. Why was he killed? The line rang to Bonner Development. Odd, it just keeps ringing. No menu, nothing. Well, I'm sure they don't want to talk to anyone, Matthias. Jones at the kitchen door held his suitcases. He gazed around the yellow-painted walls and the long-paned windows. Bonner's lawyer this wasn't very helpful. Of course not. They're in with Bonner. Very good, Aunt May. He hugged her again. I'd really like you to come back to Hamilton with me. You want me to live in Hamilton. Well, that's not a bad idea. But Matthias, I've lived here all my life. I did too. Jones picked up the suitcases. He opened the kitchen door. He gazed down the porch swing and they moved down the stairs. The huge beige Victorian reminded him of his dad. He had vague memories of his mother because she was 3 years old when she died. Dad never married again. His cell phone rang. He looked at May. Could be anybody. Jones pinched her cheek. Well, you're no help. Jones set down the suitcases and reached in his coat pocket for his phone.
Hey.
Oh, Coco. Aunt May opened her eyes wide.
Listen, I heard what happened to your boy Crowley.
Well, it was gruesome.
Well, I'm sorry, but Bonner is bad news, and word on the street is Crowley's murder was a statement.
It sure was. Are you saying the underworld was involved in this?
I ain't saying nothing, but before you start sticking your nose into this, you gotta use your head.
Why?
You'll figure it out.
Gallagher told me Leo's wife wants me to look into this because she's devastated.
Right.
Coco, do me a favor.
What favor? I just did you a favor by telling you this.
I need information about the developers and the subs.
What did I just tell you, Jonesy? Forget it. Let Strickland take care of this.
Jones stared at the phone when Coco hung up on him. What did he say, Matthias? Uncooperative. Jones lifted the suitcases. And that surprises you? They walked down the dirt walkway to his father's truck, which Aunt May still drove after his death. No, it doesn't surprise me, but he did warn me to watch myself. Aunt May pursed her lips. I think he told you what they used to tell Bill. Stay out of it. Murder at the Applegate by R.P. Fitton. Chapter 2. Jones stepped outside the Prince William terminal into the warm air. His call to Strickland's cell phone went into voicemail, and no one at the Hamilton police station had seen the chief. During the flight, Jones's anger had simmered as he thought about his relationship with Leo Crowley. An avid fan of Hamilton College sports, Leo had volunteered without compensation and would help Jones whenever he needed something done. Jones stepped under the canopy and checked for a taxi. His cell phone rang. Matthias Jones.
Hey, turn around.
Jones looked through the plexiglass. Coco's gray BMW merged with the shadows under the taxi canopy a few dozen feet away. Coco?
What, are you going to stand there or do you want to ride home?
I was looking for a taxi. He crossed the taxi pickup.
Get in the car.
BMW's side door opened slowly. Jones slid into the front seat, threw his overnight in back, and closed the door. Coco immediately swung into traffic. I'm here because I knew you weren't going to listen to me about Crowley. You, Mr. Jones, are in the middle of a bunch of crap. Me? What are you talking about? I just got back here. Bonner is a sleaze. You want to throw your money in the toilet, just give it to Bonner. You know him? No, I don't know him, but I spent 45 minutes in Picarda's office. Mayor Picarda? Picarda looks the other way with Bobby Bonner because Bonner lines his pockets. You think he killed Leo? All I'm saying is the guy is crooked, Jonesy, but doesn't mean he's a murderer. I understand. Listen, Bonner runs the operation. His right-hand man is Bill Harwood. They've worked on Long Island, Florida, and Prince William's, their home base. Applegate is their first project in Hamilton. Fletchers don't allow tract housing in Hamilton. How did he slip that through? Old man Fletcher's dead, and Ham spends his time on the road, and the old man's brother is a chiseler. Somehow Bonner got that project into Hamilton. Well, I'm working on that, Jonesy. My bet is one of your selectmen, Skip Formby. He owned a farm, and he ran for re-election for selectman to stop the development. My sources tell me that the Applegate is a scam, with Bonner the head scammer. I've already talked to Ham Fletcher. Neither Ham or the old man, when he was alive, had anything to do with this. Fletcher's brother is an investor. He sits around and counts his late brother's money, and then he invests it, quote unquote. From the bridge out of the city, Jones stared at Prince William's brightening lights. Leo Crowley, owning the orchard for that development, sent Jones down the side road. Coco had said that Bonner was sleazy and he probably needed Leo's land. Coco looked over his shoulder and moved into the outside lane. At speeds close to 100 miles an hour, he veered toward the Devonshire Hills exit. I just wanted to clue you in on Bonner because I know you'll start sniffing around. Thanks. Can't be too careful. Well, Leo must have upset somebody, said Jones, as they moved over the crosstown bridge. I need to talk to Joanne, see if Leo was going to meet anyone out there at the Applegate. He was the nicest guy, Coco. Coco shifted, passing a fast-moving tractor-trailer. Nice guys finish last. And dead, Jonesy. Frannie, crimson hair ponytailed and fluffy, carried out takeout from the Colonial House through Jones's rear sliders. She gave Jones more than a perfunctory hug. Her eyes moistened. Do you know Leo came in every morning for breakfast, had his bacon and eggs, and he minded his own business. It isn't like he had a lot of enemies. Well, he didn't, Frannie. I can't think of one person who would speak ill of Leo. Thanks for picking this up, Fran. I'm meeting McGill at the Enterprise shortly. Well, you probably haven't eaten since Chicago. I know how you hate airline food. I'd rather go hungry than eat airline food. She set a paper plate of turkey, mashed potatoes, and squash on the kitchen table. Frannie, you're off duty. Quiet, you're tired. Jones went to speak. She put her finger over his lips. I don't know if you know this, but it was Arnie Dewars who spotted Leo's boot in the cement. Oh, I saw him on the hourly news broadcast. He lied about dumping his trash. Right, he said he was cleaning up the trash. Whoever buried Leo in that cement never expected the boot to be sticking out. She handed him a cup of coffee. Thank you. What does George Strickland say? He's not picking up. I suppose they're interviewing the subs and Bonner himself. Jones lifted more turkey and potatoes to his mouth. This is absolutely delicious. I'm glad you like it. Coco says Bonner is crooked. A lot of people in town want to live at the Applegate. Leo owned a good chunk of that land. Frannie looked into his eyes. Side road theory? Nah, it sounds too easy. But why would someone want to get rid of Leo like that? Maybe Leo had enemies we don't know about. Well, that's possible too. Jones finished the turkey dinner. Excellent. You just want to get over to McGill. You want to come along? Sure. He crossed the common on foot as the stone clock chimed 7 times. Leo was obviously alone. Well, that's a good point, Franny. Good point. Question is whether he died out there or they brought him in there. Somebody knew that basement floor was going to be poured, which means any of the subs or just knowledge of the concrete going down. I need to call that concrete company. Franny wrote something down on a small pad. Tom McGill's Suburban and Strickland's Cruiser were parked in front of the yellow brick building across the common. He spotted McGill, then Strickland on the far side of the Suburban. Strickland's animated arm movement showed a level of raw emotion about Leo's death. Jones called out, "Hey, thanks for the return call, George." "Well, I thought you were still in Indiana." Strickland turned. "Franny?" McGill saluted in the background and began writing on a yellow pad. "George, this is just awful, Matthias." "How exactly did he die, George?" asked Jones. "Bullet to the back." Jones nodded. "The bullet still in him?" "Well, I won't know officially until I get Clayton's report. There was an exit wound in the lower ribs," he said as he squinted and then winced. His cell phone rang. "Strickland." "Well, where are they, Wendell?" "I told Bucky to get the hell out of there." "Bucky, he's at the Applegate with Red Kroc." "Who's Red Kroc?" "He's a project supervisor under Gleason." "What's that?" he asked Wendell. "Well, what's he doing with a metal detector?" "Maybe he'll find the slug," said Jones. "I told those two no more than an hour ago to get lost. I need you to clear both of them the hell out of there now." "What's that?" "If they won't go, just lock 'em up." "I might hang around for that one." "I'm heading out to Applegate. Call me in the morning, Matthias." "Did Leo ever call LG?" Strickland shook his head. "Okay, George." McGill held a yellow pad as Strickland started the Cruiser. Strickland's lights flashed as he turned onto Main Street and headed north. "What do you know about this Bonner character, Tom?" "Subcontractors don't like him. He likes to pay when he feels like paying." Jones nodded. "Do we have all the particulars on Leo's selling of the land?" "Other than it's been Crowley land for 100 years. He must have been compensated." "Well, if he's dealing with a snake like Bonner, maybe not." "Did Arnie see anything else? I heard him on the news feed." McGill shook his head. "Somebody messed up burying Leo under that concrete, Tom. Without that boot sticking out, we never would have known what happened to him." His cell phone sounded. "Jones."
"Matthias, it's Aunt May. I wanted to know about the Crowley murder."
"Oh, I thought you were calling to visit, Aunt May."
"Sorry."
"Well, Skip Formby, the selectman. He got the project here, and a guy named Ralston, the same place I have my mortgage, handled the houses."
"What about the builder? It seems like a sleazy operation."
"Why do you say that?"
"Gut feeling?"
"Well, sometimes gut is the best. Bonner has a lot of subs here, too. I gotta track these people down."
"Remember, Matthias, people lie."
"I know.
"Call me if you need to talk."
Thanks." Murder at the Applegate by R.P. Fitton, Chapter 3. Jones felt overwhelmed by Leo's death as he moved onto the Crowley porch with Gallagher. The tall, orange-haired priest's furrowed brow put his consternation on full display. "Somebody messed up," said Jones. "I may need your help, Matthias. Whatever I can do. Kids. I need someone involved with them, someone they can turn to with stability." "Sure. I'll get them involved in some of the youth programs in the city once things settle down." His cell phone rang. Jones put it on speaker. "Jones."
"Coach, this is Bucky Driscoll."
"Bucky, what can I do for you?" Gallagher raised his brows and then rolled his eyes.
"I'm in jail."
"That's a shame, Bucky."
"Need you to bail me out."
"What'd you do, rob a bank?" he asked as he and Gallagher moved down the Crowley front walk.
"Obstructing a police investigation."
"Why don't you call your friend Arnie Dewars?" Gallagher opened his shiny Lincoln's door. "I'll call you, Matthias." "You don't want to bail him out, Jim?" Gallagher firmly gestured with his hands. He shut the door and lowered the driver's window. "I have every confidence that you'll do the right thing." "Well, Bucky, I don't know if I have that kind of cash."
It's only 10 grand, plus you owe me."
Gallagher started the Lincoln, waved, and backed onto Main Street. "Owe you for what?"
"All the help I've given you over the years."
"I may file charges myself." Jones hung up the phone, but Bucky's incarceration for bringing the metal detector out to the Applegate gave him an idea that he wanted to run by Strickland. Courtney Jefferson lifted the metal detector to the counter at Jefferson's Hardware. Strickland had approved the purchase less than an hour ago. "So you bought a house at the Applegate, Courtney?" "Yes, Mother and I live out there presently." "Well, it's just awful, Matthias." "You mean about Leo?" "No, Lark and Flo have broken up." "What?" Lark and his girlfriend of 20-plus years were like two halves of the horse costume, with Lark taking up the rear. But Jones was thinking more about the loss of Leo. "That's not the upshot, Matthias." "There's more? What more could there be?" Jones removed the cash from his wallet. "Lark is sweet on Mother." "Oh, dear God." Jones stopped with the cash in midair. "Your mother hates Lark, Courtney." "They're dating. Mother says the old boy's still got it." "Yeah, he's got it, all right." Jones handed him the cash. "It's what he's got that's the problem. Did you see or hear anything out at the Applegate last Thursday night?" Courtney's face reddened. "The whole town is buzzing about it, too. Something about Lark and money." "Courtney, I'm talking about Leo being murdered." "Mother keeps the television loud. We didn't hear anything." "Are you sure?" "I'm sure. She kept talking about Lark not spending a cent on her." "Well, Lark is pretty cheap." "Actually," said Courtney, counting back his change, "Lark bought a house in the Bonner Development." "Well, I know how Lark is when it comes to money. The moths come out of his wallet every time he opens it." Harriet Graham from the library passed the register. "When Lark passes, the birds on the common, they're all chirping, cheep, cheep, cheep." Jones nodded, took his receipt and the metal detector. "Thanks, Courtney. Good luck." "I'll need it." Jones passed Harriet in the next aisle. "Wedding bells at Jefferson's Hardware." "Dumbbells," said Harriet, lowering her voice. "The nerve of that Lark Larson, walking around with Cora Jefferson, the world's most cynical woman." Jones, still distracted about Leo, exited onto Main Street. Leo's death hit him head on now as he walked down Main Street alone. He slid the metal detector into the Jeep. Talking to that loudmouth Bobby Bonner was a first step in finding out who killed Leo. But Bonner would not have a direct responsibility for the land sale to Leo Crowley. The lawyer, or perhaps his partner, would know the particulars. He lifted his cell and dialed Strickland.
"Strickland."
"George, are you out at the Applegate?"
"No, not yet. I'm dealing with this disturbance."
"What happened?"
"Oh, Bucky is banging his cup against the bar. His window just took away the food trays. Nobody will bail out Bucky, and Scott Gleason, the Applegate job super, put the money up for Red Kroc earlier."
"Good, I hope Bucky learns a lesson."
"Don't count on it. Do you have the detector?"
"I do."
"Good. I'll be out at the Applegate in 10 minutes.
Jones turned the Jeep into the Applegate entrance. A little man in white overalls leaped from the construction trailer. He wore black-rimmed glasses and had a mean scowl on his face as he shouted like a wild man. "Hey, you, I heard you were disparaging my character." "I don't even know who you are, pal." He adjusted his cap. Jones pushed open the door and marched over to him. "You talking to me, weasel?" The man began moving his clenched fists in a circular motion as he bobbed up and down. "Weasel? I'm gonna punch you back to the Stone Age." "Is that right?" said Jones, grinning as the older man circled back and forth. "What's your gripe with me? What did I say about you?" "Say about me? Like you don't know." "Stop repeating what I say." "What I say? I'm not a lowlife, and you make fun of my mother again, and I'll take you out." "I didn't make fun of your mother." Jones just stared at him. "Who are you?" "Who am I? Like you don't know." Jones studied the red strands through his graying hair. Red Kroc. The man bounced up and down to within a few inches of Jones. "How do you know my name?" "What's that, weasel?" He took a wild swing at Jones, but Jones easily dodged the punch, and Red tripped forward into the dirt. He was on his feet again, winding up his fist in the same circular fashion. Jones shook his head and got back on the Jeep. He backed up and had to veer around Red in the middle of the road and move over the dirt to his right. In the rear mirror, Red flipped up his middle finger. Strickland was on his cell phone at the end of Lot 35's driveway. Jones parked the car and ran outside. What the hell is wrong with that moron? Strickland waved him off. Yes, Herbert. I talked briefly to Clayton. And no one is running around Hamilton with a .38. I'm over here now. We'll be looking for the slug. But no, Matthias came home from Indiana. I'm not doing that, Herbert. Goodbye, Herbert. Strickland flipped his phone shut. That man is a buffoon. Oh, he's no bigger buffoon than Red Kroc. He wanted me to issue an injunction against you helping. How about we issue an injunction against him? What did you say to Red Kroc? He was supposed to meet me at the trailer 15 minutes ago. George, he just tried to pick a fight with me. Well, what did you say to him? Jones shook his head and removed the metal detector from the Jeep. I have no idea. He prattled on about my disparaging his character. He said I said something about his mother, and then he put up his fist. That's when I called him a weasel. Weasel? Yeah, that's about right. The guy is a weasel. Strickland looked around lot 35. You know, Bucky actually had the right idea. Jones looked up from the detector. He adjusted his sunglasses. I wouldn't give Bucky credit for anything, George. You know what Bucky can do to a crime scene. I do. Strickland looked down at the computer printout of home buyers. This lot was sold to a couple in Prince William, the Dumphys. I talked to them this morning. They want Bonner to give them another house because of the murder. Well, that's understandable. Jones walked along the foundation. What if the bullet went into the woods? Maybe I should get Bucky over here. He's arrogant enough just to stay out here looking forever. Can't understand why Red Kroc was so livid. This has to be because of Leo on the land. Agreed. Jones swung the detector along the driveway. Unless there was some random element we don't know about. I agree. Why would Bonner kill or have Leo killed? Why not just maneuver Stiller? Unless Leo found something out, said Jones, looking back to the entrance. Which brings me back to Red Kroc. A, he's either a complete moron, or B, he's trying to steer me away from something. I'll answer yes to both A and B. Leo spent a lot of times with his friends at the VFW hall near the town dump and marched in all the town parades, carrying a flag with his fellow vets. He was supposed to be in the 4th of July parade. Well, it makes me sick. Leo's kids don't have a father. And I feel a real personal interest in what's happened, George. I know. What's your best guess now, Matthias? Leo owns most of this land. Bonner is crooked. That's got to be the heart of it, but not all of it. There are dozens of subcontractors. Agreed. Trying to locate all the subcontractors will be tough. Bonner must have that list. Strickland's cell phone sounded. Yes, Clayton.
George, I have some preliminary results,
Said Clayton on the speaker.
Now, from what I understand, PW Concrete poured that foundation Friday morning. Arnie spotted a portion of Leo's work boots in the cell of cement. From what we can determine, Leo was killed Thursday night between 6:30 and 9 o'clock, judging from his stomach contents.
Was he killed on the lot?
No. Numerous marks under the armpits. He was shot somewhere else, in the back. No powder. Almost at a straight angle with a .38 caliber.
Anything unusual in this, Clayton? Asked Strickland.
Spot on his pant leg, just below the knee.
So what?
Well, blood on his pants doesn't match his own blood. Leo was type A, and the blood on the pants was O.
Really?
I would get the blood types of everyone involved.
Thanks, Clayton. Tell that to Red Kroc. Murder at the Applegate by R.P. Fitton. Chapter 4. George, this is incredible.
Leo was shot in his own house, in the kitchen, right in front of the counter in the kitchen window. Somebody tried to scrub the blood off the floor. We're going through the entire house right now. Where are you?
I just pulled into the Fletcher estate.
Call me later.
Thanks, George. Jones now imagined someone in Leo's new house, someone sneaking in and shooting him dead. He moved up to the Fletcher portico. Hollings opened the heavy wood door at the Fletcher estate. A smile came to his face as he focused on Jones. Hello, Matthias. Hollings, thank you for talking to Charles. He showed Jones to the marble-tiled foyer. Mr. Charles is outside at the pool. How have you been? Asked Jones as they crossed into the kitchen and Hollings opened the outside door. I've been well. I've been planning a vacation to Newfoundland for August. May I ask you, sir, was Mr. Crowley murdered by the developers? Why would you ask that, Hollings? Asked Jones as they headed toward the pool. Well, Mr. Charles is so heavily invested in the development. So I heard. I'm not sure. Whoever killed him knew the concrete would be poured on Friday morning. Matthias, it could be anyone at the development. Yes, right now I'm just gathering information. He stopped Hollings before they reached the pool. Who brought Charles into the investment? That obnoxious Mr. Bonner. He was at the estate here for a week straight last fall. Mr. Charles signed the actual papers at the Prince William Inn. Does Ham know all this? Yes, sir. He just does not have Hamilton's attention to detail. And cynical nature, said Jones. Yes, sir. Ham thought Mr. Charles would make some money from this investment. And Bonner was the only one up here? Well, there were a plethora of phone calls. Do you know who he called? Well, that was quite private, sir. It was on Mr. Bonner's phone. They started down to the pool. Charles Fletcher, an anorexic version of the late Hamilton Fletcher, held a wide margarita with a lime sliver on the brim. His gray hair had thinned, and he had scalloped bags under his murky eyes. A thin little blonde, face tightened and tanned, sat at the patio table. Ah, Matthias Jones, coach extraordinaire and champion of all. Jones had heard of his dramatic delivery and his ability to confabulate. Mr. Fletcher, Charles never shook his hand. May I procure some libation for your palate? Water is fine. Hollings, he said, snapping his fingers. Hollings winced at the finger snap. Mr. Fletcher, said Jones, as I mentioned on the phone, I am here to make inroads into Leo Crowley's murder. Let me present the tintillating Miss Clovis Dubois. Charmed, she said with a Rhode Island or New York accent. She had drawn-in, flared eyebrows. Miss Dubois, he said as Hollings brought him the chilled bottled water. Then he turned to Charles Fletcher. Why did Bobby Bonner come to you for an investment? Charles sipped on the margarita. When people need money, they know who to call. Jones lifted the water bottle. He deemed Charles a colossal phony. Bonner called you. What did he say? Well, he explained who he was. A developer who had projects in Florida, Long Island, Prince William. Oh, goo-goo, said Clovis as she stood. Clovis removed her white outer coat, revealing a buxom tan cleavage. I'm going to refresh myself in the pool. Charles waved his hand through the air. Do what you have to do, doll. In her one-piece bathing suit, she lumbered toward the far end of the pool. She had a rear end the size of one of Woozy's barnyard horses. Mr. Fletcher, or you can call me Chuckles. Chuckles? My close friends call me Chuckles because of my relaxed nature. Now, Mr. Bonner asked me to invest an amount that is confidential in the Applegate Development. So you'd make a good return. Maximize the profit, as my late brother would say. Jones figured if Hamilton were alive, he'd throw Chuckles off the estate. Who else did you talk to? People in Harwood's organization, real estate people. They set up the deal with the Bertram law firm, the attorneys. Does Bertram have local offices? If he does, I'm not privy to it. I only met with him for a moment when we signed the deal at the Prince William Inn. Clovis splashed into the pool, sending water streams onto the tiles. She giggled and kicked her feet in the water. Did you meet Leo? No, I never had the pleasure of his company. Did anyone talk about Leo? Asked Jones. Clovis now held the edge of the pool and stared at Jones. He was the one who owned that land. Well, Mr. Bonner said Mr. Crowley had money coming out his ears. Why did he say that? I do believe Mr. Crowley was complaining about the cost of his house, and frankly, he may have had a point. Mr. Bonner is very scrupulous about his bottom line. Hollings appeared by the pool. Excuse me, sir, will there be any additional guests this evening? Coach Jones, would you like to share the roast duck? Tomorrow night we're having caviar, tonight roast duck. That must impact the bottom line, said Jones, having reached the limit of his tolerance with Chuckles Fletcher. Now, Clovis and I have an auction to attend before our dinner this evening. Again, he did not shake Jones's hand. Thanks for meeting with me. You have a sparkling day, Coach Jones. Nice to meet you both. I'm sure I'll see you again. She produced a strange wave with both hands. Jones smiled and walked in unison with Hollings from the pool. Hollings, correct me if I'm wrong, he said in a low voice, looking back to the pool. But Chuckles is flying through money. Hollings opened the kitchen door. Mr. Fletcher's will designated Mr. Charles a sizable sum, which is all but gone. I dare say, Hollings, Hamilton would be aghast, said Jones, imitating Hollings in a friendly way. Mr. Fletcher would not be chuckling about his brother, Chuckles. Murder at the Applegate by R.P. Fitton, Chapter 5. Jones paused the jeep behind the Applegate sign at the entrance to Route 7. He pictured Leo carrying water across the gridiron to the Hamilton football players or clearing snow off the field with his pickup after the November storm a few years ago. Even during baseball practice, Leo might shag outfield baseballs for the team. He remembered picking apples one fall at Leo's apple orchards on the hills overlooking the Hamilton Country Club. Jones stared at Bonner's massive red, white, and blue sign, about the size of a Prince William billboard, next to a long white sales trailer. Applegate Estates, affordable homes beginning at $525,000. Bobby Bonner Homes Incorporated. Affordable? Asked Jones out loud. The development had a simple layout. An outer road dotted with a few remaining apple trees wound through the hills and circled back toward the entrance road. A second road bisected the circle. Jones drove to the left, passing the orange spray-painted lot signs. Up the hill near the end of the middle road were completed houses adjacent to a battered green construction trailer. Two houses, compacted updates of his colonial on the common, painted in bright pinks and blues, impressed Jones. To his right, several finished dwellings and numerous foundations lined the center road. Wendell, Tully, and several Prince William offices paced the lots on both sides of the road. Mammoth concrete chunks and framing lumber were strewn around the half-demolished foundation where they had found Leo on Lot 35. A few boards remained in a pile next to a maroon dumpster and a large yellow bulldozer. Jones sensed the slug from the 38 was probably somewhere in this development. Wendell! Wendell's headphones prevented him from hearing Jones. The Hamilton officer seemed to dance as he paced through the dirt. Wendell! Yo! He removed one of the plugs. No slug? Oh, just nails, Matthias. Red Kroc said we'd have to return them all to the trailer. Tully told him to shove it. Then he raised his fists up. Oh, I know the routine. Tully laughed at him and Red took a swing at him. I know that routine, too. What exactly does Red Kroc do here, Wendell? Whatever Scott Gleason wants him to do. Oh, the job supervisor. Yes, correct. Well, I have to get back to the top 40. You do that, Wendell, said Jones, patting him on the shoulder, and Wendell placed the plug back in his ears. Jones walked past his Jeep. The new asphalt smell filled the heavy air. He stopped in front of Lot 8. Leo's gambrel-type home had no planted lawn and one apple tree spread diagonal to the east corner of the house. Strickland had informed him that at least 24 sets of fingerprints were lifted from the front door and the inside of the house. He had permission now that everyone had cleared out to enter the home. No officer had found evidence of a bullet, even though a bullet had penetrated Leo's aorta and exited through his sternum. Strickland had warned Jones about the blood on the floor. Jones removed the brass key given to him by Leo's sister Lynn Ann from Newtown. He was reluctant to step inside where his friend had been killed. He figured the cooler inside air would only add to the morose atmosphere of the home that would never be occupied by Leo and his family. A breeze cooled his skin in the hall as he passed the darkened bedrooms and moved toward the kitchen. The outline of Leo's body over the dried blood faced the ceramic sink. Jones turned away, overcome by emotion. Sorrow quickly turned to anger when he thought of Leo being shot in the back. Why had Leo left the supper table so suddenly to drive over to his new house? As he turned, Jones realized he probably stood where the killer had stood, looking out the window. In the distance, the construction trailer faced the main road in from Route 7. Jones shuffled toward the kitchen. He panned the cabinets and the floor for a bullet entry. Finding the bullet might prove impossible if the bullet had passed through the open window. A wide swath expanded up the hill past a dozen houses and apple trees. Beyond that was the top of the hill and the Beaver Dam swamp, draining into the Pugnacious River. He looked back to the hall. A thin-necked pink bottle sat in the corner near the side entrance. Jones wandered back to the plywood. The bottle contained some kind of liquor called chilled cooler. He called Strickland on his cell.
Strickland.
George, I'm in Leo's house. What is this chilled cooler?
Barner gives out chilled coolers. A white wine. Why?
Well, there's one sitting in the corner of the side entrance.
Well, that's new. Let me get Wendell down there.
Strickland spoke into his walkie-talkie.
Wendell, go down to Leo's house. There's a wine bottle there that wasn't there when we went through the house. Okay, George.
A short time later, Wendell trotted down from the upper area. He carried a plastic bag. How did that bottle get in here, Matthias? The place has been locked up. Kitchen window was wide open, Wendell. Well, we'll have to check that window again. Well, George will call you. Ahead of a dust swirl, a cream-colored Lexus zipped into the development. The tinted windows hid the occupant, but the license plate revealed the driver's identity. Ah, the illustrious Mr. Bonner. The Lexus skidded to a stop by Jones in the sales trailer about halfway down the road. An average-sized man with brown hair, open shirt, and wearing a suit matching his Lexus trotted up the stairs and unlocked the trailer. Then he disappeared inside. Bonner, his back to the open trailer window, talked on his cell phone. His high-pitched, annoying voice leaked outside. Bonner leaned against a coffee-stained white counter covered with house blueprints. He had little brown eyes and a mop of straight auburn hair. A shiny gold chain and medallion hung from inside his open shirt, and cheap cologne filled the stuffy trailer air. He chattered like a wild bird, but when he saw Jones, he covered the receiver. Hey, who the hell are you? Jones, Matthias Jones. Yeah, so what? You want to buy a house? Should I? Bonner gawked at him, lusting after the potential sale. I'll call you back, Billy. No, hell no. You tell that bastard he doesn't get paid. Screw him. I got a business here to run, not a daycare service. No, call me on the cell phone. Yeah, okay, Billy. Yeah, bye. Jones studied the construction books on the shelf above. The lot map covered the paneled wall. Sold lots had orange stickers, and the completed houses had the homeowner names written on the side roads. You're Bobby Bonner. You said your name was Jones. Sounds familiar. Damn familiar. You live in Prince William or something? No, I coach here at Hamilton. Ah, no kidding. He put his arm around Jones. The cologne threatened to choke Jones's air. Listen, Coach, I got deals up here. What kind of house you looking for? What kind of house do you have? All kinds. We'll build whatever you want. We still have lots on Cortlandt and McIntosh. Isn't there a building code? Building code? Who the hell cares about building codes when you're building what people want? You know what I mean? Well, I'll have to think about it. He hit Jones in the ribs and produced a shiny gold card. Listen, Coach, I'm giving you Scott Gleason's card. He's my job super and lead salesman here. You seem as though you can handle sales yourself. Well, I have to. He leaned closer and whispered, I built this business from nothing, Coach, nothing. Where else but in America, huh? People already have moved in here. Yeah, a few. Jones nodded, uneasy with being this close to Bonner. His beard stubble chafed Jones's face several times, and his undigested garlic smothered the cologne. What the hell are you really doing out here? You know anything about Leo Crowley's murder on one of your lots, Mr. Bonner? Bonner's dark eyes popped open. The arm retracted and he stepped back from Jones. He paused. I don't know nothing about it. Sounds like the mob burying him in cement. Happened on your lot, 35, Mr. Bonner. Under one of your basements. Any ideas on who did it? Who the hell are you anyways? Bonner gathered his papers off the counter and loaded them in the briefcase. I'm a guy who wants answers. Yeah, well, if I were you, I'd mind my own damn business. Now get out! Bonner closed the leather case and pushed the brass lock shut. Then he grabbed the case and moved Jones outside and down the stairs. Once outside, Bonner, no longer animated, looked Jones squarely in the eye and pointed his finger. "Unless you have cash for a house, you stay the hell off my development, Jones." "Why?" "I got friends, mister, and they ain't gonna be too happy if they know I've been bothered. You know what I mean?" "This is a public road." "Beat it." Bonner headed for the Lexus and popped the door locks before he got inside. He started the car and skidded out again. The tires spun in the dirt, and he headed directly down Cortlandt, straight toward the front entrance. Jones wanted to question Bonner further. Especially, he wanted to know the home builder's alibi for last Thursday night. He looked at the two adjacent completed houses side by side on Macintosh Road. Ahead, a single house, lawn not seeded, was built across the lot from where Leo was killed. According to the site map inside the trailer, there were potential witnesses living right here in some of Bonner's new homes.